Even as we grieve, we give thanks for this most faithful life. I am deeply aware of this great inheritance and of the duties and heavy responsibilities.
Something is happening inside Buckingham Palace right now, and the people closest to the royal family are struggling to keep it quiet. A prince who was never supposed to hold real power this soon is now making the decisions that shape the monarchy's future. A king who fought his entire life for the crown is quietly stepping aside, and a queen consort who thought she had secured her place in history is finding herself outmaneuvered, not by her enemies, but by the next generation sitting right across the dinner table. This is not speculation. This is not rumor. The evidence has been building for months, and what happened on February 19th, 2026 accelerated everything beyond what anyone inside the palace anticipated. Since Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's arrest, the internal structure of the British royal family has shifted in ways that cannot be undone. Prince William is no longer simply waiting to be king. He is already acting like one. King Charles, battling cancer and the weight of a reign defined more by crisis than celebration, has made a choice. And that choice has a name. It's William. But here is what nobody is talking about openly. The biggest obstacle to William's plan isn't the press, it isn't the public, and it isn't even the fallout from Andrew's arrest. It's Queen Camilla. And the tension between them has now reached a breaking point. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the accelerating power transfer inside the palace. Why Charles is stepping back faster than anyone expected. How William has seized control of the monarchy's most critical decisions. What Kate is doing behind the scenes that is driving Camilla to the edge. And why an ultimatum has now been issued that will define the future of the crown itself. Stay with us, because this story goes far deeper than palace gossip. To understand what is happening now, you have to understand what William has known for years, and what everyone else chose to ignore. Long before Andrew Mountbatten Windsor became a headline, William was raising the alarm. According to Russell Myers, author of William and Catherine, palace aides had been warning about Andrew's increasingly reckless behavior years before it became public knowledge. William took those warnings seriously in a way that his father and grandmother simply did not. After Andrew's disastrous 2019 BBC interview, where he attempted to explain away his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and succeeded only in making things dramatically worse, William went directly to both King Charles, then still Prince of Wales, and the late Queen Elizabeth. His message was unambiguous. Andrew needed to be removed from royal duties immediately, before the damage became irreversible. Myers noted that William made a specific and uncomfortable argument to senior royals, that protecting the institution had to take priority over protecting a family member. It was a hard thing to say. It was an even harder thing to hear. The Queen, protective of her son to the end, resisted. Charles felt the familiar pull between loyalty to his mother and the nagging weight of his own judgment. And William's warnings were pushed aside. That decision would cost them. By 2026, everything William feared had materialized. Andrew's arrest on February 19th for allegedly sharing confidential government documents connected to the Epstein network was not a surprise to William. It was the moment he had been preparing for. And now, with his father on the throne but weakened by an ongoing cancer battle, William's voice carries a weight it never had before. Sources close to the royal family confirm that over the past 6 months, William has been the driving force behind every major decision involving Andrew, stripping his titles, removing him from Royal Lodge, and ensuring his complete separation from the institution. This is not Charles acting alone. This is William leading the strategy. And the distinction matters enormously. There is a particular kind of cruelty in the timing of Charles's reign. He waited longer than any heir in British history, 73 years, before the crown finally passed to him in September 2022. And then, just 17 months later, in February 2024, he was diagnosed with cancer. The specific type of cancer has not been disclosed publicly. What is known is that treatment began immediately and continued throughout 2024 and into 2025, even as Charles attempted to maintain his royal duties. It was an extraordinary act of will from a man who had spent a lifetime preparing for a role he was now fighting illness to keep. Then, in March 2024, the situation inside the family deepened. Princess Kate announced her own cancer diagnosis following abdominal surgery, stepping back from public duties for months while undergoing preventative chemotherapy. The monarchy's two most important figures, the reigning king and the future queen consort, were both in treatment simultaneously. Against that backdrop, the question of succession stopped being theoretical. According to Closer Weekly, discussions about transferring some of Charles's responsibilities to William were already underway, with 2025 or 2026 repeatedly cited as a realistic timeline. A source close to the situation said plainly that while Charles is stubborn and has waited his whole life for this role, those inside the palace believe William and Kate will be assuming the throne sooner than the public has been led to expect. Officially, there has been no announcement. Palace representatives have denied that any accelerated transition is being planned, but the actions tell a different story. In 2025, Charles formally granted William and Kate the authority to issue royal warrants, the ability to publicly endorse products and brands on behalf of the crown. It may seem ceremonial, but previous monarchs guarded that privilege fiercely. Handing it over was a signal. William is no longer simply the heir apparent. He is a co-author of the monarchy's decisions. In some cases, he appears to be the primary author. One royal source told News International that Charles is not just helping William realize his potential. He is actively guiding him to make the right calls during this crisis, fully aware that the future of the monarchy now rests with the Wales. At 77, battling cancer, Charles understands something that may be difficult for the public to accept. His reign may be shorter than anyone hopes. The succession plan is not a distant consideration. It is unfolding in real time. If you want to understand where the monarchy is headed, stop looking at the palaces and start looking at how William runs his charity. The Royal Foundation, the organization William oversees with Kate, operates with a CEO, a board of directors, clearly defined goals, and regular public reporting. It functions like a well-managed modern institution, not a family business run on tradition and closed-door conversations. And that, according to royal sources, is precisely the model William intends to apply to the monarchy itself. Less unaccountable power concentrated in the hands of long-serving courtiers. More transparency in how decisions are made. Clear lines of responsibility. A structure that can withstand public scrutiny. In a candid conversation with Canadian actor Eugene Levy in October 2025, William spoke openly about his ambitions. He said change is on his agenda, but acknowledged the tension built into that goal. His words were telling. The challenge is bringing about gradual change in an institution that is, by design, supposed to represent continuity. The monarchy cannot reinvent itself overnight without undermining the very stability it exists to provide. One former royal aide described the institution with a sharp metaphor. The monarchy is like a jar of Marmite. The label has looked the same for decades, but what is inside has changed many times over. William understands that. His reforms will be deliberate, not dramatic. His management of the Duchy of Cornwall, the vast estate he inherited when Charles became king, offers a preview. Those who work closely with him describe a man who consistently challenges inherited ways of doing things, who asks why processes exist before accepting that they should continue. One insider put it simply: accountability is at the heart of everything the prince and princess do. They want the monarchy to stand for something, to genuinely benefit people. And they are not interested in preserving systems that no longer serve that purpose. But not everyone inside the royal family shares that vision. And the resistance, when it emerged, came from a place no one expected. Queen Camilla has spent years carefully constructing her place in the royal family. She overcame public skepticism, earned genuine respect in many quarters, and positioned herself as a dignified and committed queen consort, which is why her current collision with Prince William is so striking and so consequential. At the center of it is a friendship. Camilla and Sarah Ferguson, the ex-wife of Prince Andrew, have known each other since the 1970s, long before either of them entered the royal world. Decades of shared history, of the particular solidarity that comes from navigating an institution as demanding and unforgiving as the British monarchy. Camilla values that bond. She has not been willing to abandon it, simply because the political circumstances have shifted. William sees it differently. According to Radar Online, he has pushed hard for Camilla to publicly distance herself from Sarah and has reportedly been explicit about his reasoning. Sarah Ferguson is named in the Epstein files released by the United States Department of Justice. While there is no evidence of criminal wrongdoing on her part, the documents reveal email contact between her and Epstein, including a message from October 2009 in which she writes to him, "I urgently need 20. The full context remains unclear, but the connection exists. And in William's view, that connection is damaging. His argument is straightforward. If the Queen Consort maintains a visible friendship with the ex-wife of a man arrested in one of the biggest royal scandals in decades, the monarchy's credibility takes the hit. It does not matter that Camilla's loyalty to Sarah predates all of this. Perception becomes reality. And William is not willing to let perception destroy what he is trying to build. Camilla's counter-argument is equally principled. She refuses to end a 50-year friendship on the basis of guilt by association. She believes that kind of loyalty deserves to be honored, not sacrificed for optics. When she played a role in the October 2025 decision to strip Andrew of his titles, responding to reports that he was undermining efforts to support victims of sexual abuse, she showed she was capable of taking action, but on her own terms, not at William's direction. That distinction, who decides and when and how, is at the heart of the growing rift between them. One source told OK Magazine that Sarah Ferguson had hoped Camilla would at least be seen publicly with her, some visible gesture of support. It never came. Camilla chose silence, and Sarah was left feeling abandoned. But William was not satisfied with silence either. He wanted a clean break, and the distance between those two positions has been growing ever since. If the conflict between William and Camilla is strategic, the conflict between Kate and Camilla is something rawer. It has been described by multiple sources as personal, and it has been simmering for years beneath the surface of carefully managed royal appearances. When Andrew's arrest landed, Kate did not step back. She stepped forward. Sources indicate she immediately began working with palace staff to coordinate the public response, consulting with legal advisors, shaping communications, and ensuring that William's strategy for managing the crisis was implemented effectively. She was not a bystander. She was a co-architect of the response. And that visibility, that competence, that obvious authority, it infuriated Camilla. An insider close to the situation revealed that Camilla has always found Kate's involvement difficult to accept. Their relationship has never been warm. But now, with Kate actively managing a crisis of this magnitude, Camilla has gone further, accusing Kate of making both her and Charles look incapable. The source quoted Camilla's position bluntly. "The last thing Charles needs is for Kate to make it appear he requires assistance running his own house." Charles does not agree. He has defended Kate directly, telling Camilla plainly that Kate is trying to help, not undermine. But Camilla's frustration has not eased. Those who have been present at palace gatherings describe visible tension whenever Kate enters a room. The body language, the clipped exchanges, the sense of two women occupying the same space but existing in entirely different versions of what the monarchy should be. The symbolism has not been lost on observers. When Andrew was arrested and the cameras were watching, it was Kate who stood beside William at public events, projecting calm, signaling continuity. Not Camilla. The generational shift was visible to anyone paying attention. Calls for Charles to step down, still marginal, still lacking serious momentum, have nonetheless appeared, and their very existence underlines how precarious the current moment feels. Camilla faces a defining choice: defend her position with everything she has, or accept that the tide inside the palace has already turned. In late February 2026, the tension that had been building for months finally broke into open confrontation. William went to Camilla directly. The message he delivered was not a request, not a diplomatic suggestion, not the kind of carefully worded palace communication designed to preserve everyone's dignity. It was an ultimatum. She had to choose: publicly distance herself from Sarah Ferguson, or accept that she was actively damaging the monarchy's reputation at the worst possible moment. William made clear that the choice was hers, but that the consequences of the wrong choice would be his to manage. This was unprecedented. The heir does not issue ultimatums to the queen consort. That is simply not how the hierarchy functions. But these are not ordinary times, and William is not operating within ordinary constraints. Royal insiders confirm that Charles has formally handed William authority over the decisions surrounding Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and the monarchy's public standing, a delegation of power that has changed the dynamic inside the palace entirely. William is not overstepping. He has been given the step to take. Charles supports the strategy. Camilla, increasingly, does not. And that has left her in an uncomfortable place, feeling isolated within an institution she gave up a great deal to join. The isolation deepened when Camilla's attempt to demonstrate her own commitment to victims of abuse, a meeting with French survivor Giselle Pellico in February 2026, was met with skepticism rather than praise. The response on social media was sharp. Commenters pointed out what they saw as a contradiction: publicly supporting survivors of abuse while privately maintaining ties to people connected to one of the most notorious abuse scandals in recent history. The criticism stung, and it reinforced William's central argument that half measures and personal loyalties are luxuries the monarchy cannot currently afford. William has been unambiguous with those around him. Anyone who brings scandal into proximity with the crown, regardless of their personal relationship to him, will be removed. No exceptions for family, no priority given to personal loyalty over institutional stability. If Camilla will not align with that principle, William has made clear he is prepared to work around her, steadily reduce her influence, and simply wait, because time, in this particular equation, is on his side. The changes unfolding inside Buckingham Palace are bigger than one family's internal disputes. They are the early architecture of a fundamentally different kind of monarchy. When William becomes king, and at this pace, that moment may arrive sooner than formal announcements suggest, the institution he inherits will bear his fingerprints already. He has said he wants a leaner monarchy, with fewer working royals, tighter control over who carries the weight of royal representation, and zero tolerance for the kind of behavior that has repeatedly dragged the institution into disrepute. Andrew's situation has not just reinforced that view, it has become its defining case study. The structural changes will be real: professional management over aristocratic tradition, transparent decision-making over closed-door maneuvering, merit over birthright when it comes to responsibility and trust. The courtiers who have long operated in the shadows of the palace will find those shadows considerably smaller under a William reign. When Kate becomes queen consort, her role will be nothing like Camilla's. She is not a ceremonial presence or a supportive partner in the traditional mold. She is already functioning as a strategist, a crisis manager, a co-architect of the institution's public identity. That partnership will only deepen as William's authority grows. The next few months carry enormous weight. Sources are direct about this. If the monarchy navigates the Andrew scandal effectively, demonstrating real accountability, making visible changes, and emerging with its credibility intact, it may come out of this period stronger than it entered it. If it fails to do that, the calls for abolition that currently sit at the fringes of public debate will find their way toward the center. One source captured the stakes with clarity. Right now, the country needs stability. But there will come a moment when William moves decisively, bringing accountability and purpose to the institution in ways that make the current arrangements look like a rehearsal. The transition is already underway. Charles holds the title of king, but William holds the strategy. Camilla holds the title of queen consort, but Kate is shaping the monarchy's identity. The older generation remains officially in charge. The younger generation is already running the operation. And as the Andrews scandal continues to develop, with potential criminal proceedings, possible new revelations, and a media that is not finished with the story, William's grip on the wheel will only tighten. This is not a family drama playing out in private. This is the British monarchy deciding in real time what it needs to be in order to survive. Not everyone inside those palace walls is happy about the direction it is heading, but the direction has been chosen. And the person who chose it is already acting like a king. What do you think? Is William right to draw such a hard line, even when it means confronting the people closest to him? Should Camilla be expected to end a 50-year friendship to satisfy the demands of institutional politics? And could all of this push Charles towards stepping down far sooner than anyone has officially acknowledged? The comments are open. This conversation is worth having.